Welcome to the last session of before the unconference today. We heard some great feedback about some of the updates we gave yesterday, and we really just wanted to have an opportunity to provide some more information and give you a little bonus Beth Porter content because she was so popular the first time around. So I'd like to start by introducing our VP of Product, Beth Porter.
I'm using my extra left hand here. Okay. So I'm just going to walk, this was a request that we had from several people to walk through some of the big features that we released last year, and so very swiftly we put together a quick presentation of just all the things that were some real big highlights for our team and represent efforts by people internal to edX, people outside of edX in the open community and collaborations therein, and so I'm going to highlight those quickly and then we'll bring Jeff up onto the stage. So in the last year we released something known as Teams and profiles. This is a combo feature. We had some lightweight profiles last year, but we decided to embellish them in order to give teams a little bit more oomph. Teams are very small groups that are self-formed either topically or through other demographics or other kinds of ways in which you want to organize people inside your classroom or your course, your virtual classroom, the course, and the idea behind Teams is that people have an opportunity to meet up with one another in a more intimate way that lets them feel connected to the course, possibly more motivated to complete the course material, but even just to relate to other people in the course and find a way to sort of socially glue people together inside the courseware in a way that is not often seems evident inside of MOOCs. It's in use in one course today. And it will be expanded as we learn more about how this is going for that course, and really encourage people to take a look at the excellent documentation that's been written about this feature and to think about whether this is something that you want to enable in your courses. It's in the open repo, just like a lot of our other features, and it's also available for partners on edX.org. So Teams and profiles, always looking for feedback on that, particularly since it's a brand new feature that just got released. Notes, this is exactly what it seems like, the ability for somebody to annotate a section of the course material, to create a note for themselves as a piece of study guide, and then to go back and read through it at any time and use it in the way that it is needed for recalling the information. And really, notes are completely open. There's zero structure there, just that there's an annotation and it's associated with a piece of content. So pretty simple feature, but a powerful one, and one that we've been asked about many, many times and implemented and is in open edX today, and soon to be on edX.org. Bookmarks, similar kind of concept here, but a simpler, even version of it, which is just to say, here's a bunch of places in the course content that I want to revisit. I'm going to quickly bookmark them and be able to look back at my bookmarks and say, oh yes, I want to review that content. I'm not going to review it right now, but I do want to review it later. Mark that content and then go back to it, or mark something that's particularly important to the, retain the information in the course, or something you just want to review again. Bookmarking, again, very simple, but clearly a feature that people were begging us for, and so we implemented that. And anything can be bookmarked. And you can see that there's, yay, that works. You can see that they have two different kinds of indicators, both on my bookmarks, but then it shows it right here in the little navigation, so that's handy. Something that we really spent a lot of time trying to get right is cohorts. We had a project some time ago that was around group work that we were doing some specialized development for a client on, and really what that expanded into was a larger concept around just grouping in general inside of the LMS and trying to find a way to help people either through teams find each other and then make small groups, or through cohorts allow the instructor or the course teams to group people in ways that made sense for whatever that kind of course was. So for example, if you want to show certain students certain content but not all the students, you can separate that content out and make it only available to certain cohorts. Right? So there is a way to sort of segment your content, segment your group, and specialize the learning experience just for those subgroups of people in the course. This can be expanded in any number of different interesting directions. It's, again, a very open feature that can be used however you think it might make sense in your course. It's an administrative feature, meaning that the faculty is in charge of how the people get cohorted into the course, and we're finding that people have really interesting, different creative ways that they want to use that feature to, again, make the course more intimate, make it smaller, make the groups inside of it not just the one big giant MOOC, but smaller groups that can interact with one another in these particular ways. Probably most of you know we put out some apps last year. I'm not sure that this is so much new news, but one thing I do want to highlight about our app development is that it's hugely ongoing. I think as Namisha talked about in the lightning talk, I don't see Namisha out there, in the lightning talks, there she is back in the back, talked about in the lightning round talks last night. There are lots of exciting development coming in our apps. Notably, we're going to be introducing all of the textual content of the courses and assessments. And assessments is huge. We're going to start with a small set of very basic assessments to start, and then expand outward from there. I think that there's a lot of debate about whether we'll ever get everything into the mobile app, but that's an open debate, which I'm happy to leave open for the moment and not satisfy the answer on. But for the most, for right now, what we're trying to do is get at least the most basic kinds of content into our mobile experiences, and then see how far people go with those, and how successful they can be without having absolutely every single thing inside the app, so we can keep it lightweight and easy for you all to pick up, modify, and make your own apps with. Content libraries, this was in limited release earlier this year. I think it was only used in a Knott's class for a couple of, or one run, and so he gave us a lot of good feedback. And now it's been released with some modifications, some feature updates, and is available to everybody. And so the idea here is that if, whatever your objective is for having content that is pulled out of a randomized pool, whether that's to deter cheating or just really to be able to sample, right, to give people an opportunity to see a sample of questions and not just exactly the same answers across, or if you even want to test a whole bunch of different kinds of questions and you don't want to give everybody in the test the exact same set of questions, randomized problem banks can be used to seed tests inside or quizzes inside of the course, and then you can sort of see the results across that pool and which ones are successful, which ones are not, which ones are good discerners, which ones are not, and again, it can also be used to help deter cheating. I don't know how many of you were able to go to Victor's talk about video insights, or about insights and data and analytics work that we're doing, but in particular we released a new feature for the Insights application, which is video analytics, and this has been a really exciting and long-awaited, but I think it was worth the wait, feature for the Insights team, and it's just a fantastic way to understand how your videos are being used at a really granular level, and I think a powerful tool, and many, many, many more interesting tools to come in the Insights application, but this is one we wanted to highlight. That team does a ton of work, but this is one of the big features that they released this year. I talked about yesterday the third-party auth. That was a just noting the contributors again here. There was a lot of good discussion yesterday about SSO and third-party auth, and the OpenCraft team is here to answer questions if you want to do, or you can always ask me. But essentially the idea is that we have a OAuth 2 service, and have extended that into SAML Shibboleth, and can integrate with on-campus identity services and make it possible to log in with your campus credentials. So that was a big win for our goal around campus application use. LTI Tool Provider, again, this is really to foster content reuse, much of which is being talked about in campuses as they both create MOOCs for the public scholarship goals that they have and want to be able to use that high quality content for other different kinds of implementations for small courses on campus or in blended experiences or for professional experiences. They really just want to be able to reuse the content at will. LTI is a tool that can help foster that. It's not the only way to do it, but it's a way, and we implemented that with our partners at Harvard and UBC and others who are in the campus applications working group. Finally, Hinting and feedback, again, I mentioned this briefly yesterday, and Ross had a great presentation about this particular feature, and I just wanted to call it out again because I think it's a really exciting way for people to get into more interactivity in the assessments and be able to, give the teacher, there's still work to be done by the instructor, but to give the instructor a chance to coach the student into the right result. That is it for me. Oh, sorry, there's one more slide. Oh, it said 10 plus 1. That was 10. This is the plus 1. Birch and Cypress, but I think many of you already know that we're continuing our trajectory of offering named releases. We released Birch. Cypress was really a big step up in the complexity and sophistication of the name releases. Dogwood is next. Eucalyptus is after that. He's nodding. I got the name right. And the tree theme persists. So without further ado, let me introduce Jeff Jaffe. It is my great pleasure to introduce Jeff Jaffe, CEO of the World Wide Web Consortium, which has created many of the standards that shape the modern web. In his role, Jeff evangelizes the W3C vision around the globe. And like Jeff, we believe that open web standards are critical to enabling broader access to knowledge and education for everyone. Please join me in welcoming Jeff to the stage, where he will share with us some of the exciting work he and the W3C are doing together.